how Generation Alpha will change society forever. Now, as a certified Generation Alpha brawn, I Gen Alpha, but at the same time, a lot of them isn't really grown up. But like, y'all really gotta understand, Gen Z is bad. Bro, these Gen Alpha kids, these kids in elementary school, like these are the kids that are literally like, y'all know the sticking out your gat for the, that's them. That's all I can imagine they are. But at the same time, I really want to have hope for Gen Alpha, cause like, I want to have hope, but I don't know, it's rough. Anyways, I don't know. I mean, I hope in the future I get along with Gen Alpha. I think, y'all think realistically, like, Gen Z can train Gen Alpha to be good human beings? Who am I kidding? We can't, bro. We can't. If we're not the doom of society, Gen Alpha will be. Barely made into Gen Z, thanks, Dad.
Generation Alpha is on track to be the most troubled generation of all time. Generation Alpha is on track to be the most troubled generation of all time, and it's not even close. This is the era of mindless consumption, extreme polarization, and soulless, meaningless junk food entertainment. From the explosion of mental illness and violent crime to rampant consumerism and alarmism, our world is slowly degrading, and Gen A has been placed at the forefront.
Tell me what you think Skibidi Toilet and NFTs will be taught in history classes of 2100. It definitely will. Like, it definitely will. I'm telling y'all, they're gonna have classes for that.
Of it all. Throw in a worldwide pandemic that shut down the entire globe for months, unhinged inflation, and technology that's becoming progressively more invasive, and you get a recipe that could destroy the minds and lives of millions. This is the generation of your little cousins, your younger siblings, or maybe even your kids. And while it may seem that these characteristics closely resemble those of Gen Z, there's one minor distinction that makes Gen A something that has never been seen in
No, you can't compare, because the thing is, with Gen Z, like, Gen Z goes from 1996 to like 09, which yes, that's a big gap, but a majority of Gen Z, we didn't grow up, like, I didn't grow up with no iPads. I got my first phone in fucking middle school. There's old, you know what I'm saying? There's people in Gen Z that didn't have a phone until like they got into college or something. So like, you can't even compare it. Gen Alpha, they grew up with iPads. Like, it's confirmed. You grew up with a tablet or iPad if you were born in Gen Alpha. There's about a 99.9% chance.
Now, for those of you born anywhere between the 80s and the early 2000s, you might think of your life thus far in two main parts. Life without the internet and life with the internet. You recall a time when phones were actually used for talking and when computers
Well, the thing is, we always had the internet in Gen Z. Like, we always had the internet. So we can't really say, like, compared to, let's say, millennials or, I don't know, Gen X, they were grown without, like, technology.
The tool.
Or, like, the smartphones and stuff in the internet.
An alternate universe. You probably spent most of your free time outside or with other people. You were fully immersed in tangible reality, and your digital experiences were probably limited to a couple hours a day. Rather than scrolling through 300 different TikToks in an hour, you watched a couple episodes of your favorite show. When you were bored, you were forced to make use of your imagination or just sit there and enjoy the silence for a little while. Fast forward to 2023, and your life is probably completely different. You likely spend most of your time on a phone or computer, and while that might be problematic, it doesn't change the fact that your developmental years were spent without the presence of this invasive technology. And because of that, you have a firm...
I mean, I kind of want to say it's better. It's better than, like, it's better than just sitting in your room in fucking silence to be looking at some shit and be involved in some shit. But then again, you know, people lead down the wrong path.
Comprehension of the contrast between the two eras, which allows you to quickly recognize the issues unique to modernity, even if you might fall victim to them sometimes. But what if you didn't have that point of reference? What if you were born in the last decade? What if you were thrust right into the most unstable and confusing era in human history? What would your basis for stability and normality be? This question encapsulates the one-of-a-kind situation faced by Generation Alpha, and no one seems to have an answer to it. In fact, no one has any clue how it's going to play out. And this isn't your typical case of generations pointing fingers at each other. This is an era that could see the most profound societal transformation in human history. It begins in the womb, where the development of the hypersensitive fetus is already being impacted by record levels of obesity and unnatural amounts of radiation from digital devices. Upon birth, the kid begins to...
Wait, those machines that the womb? I was about to say, those machines that scan babies, they give like cancer and stuff? Or like they actually really thinking of it. Hold up, you really gotta think of it. Like the machines that scan the baby. Can't be the best, right? For looking at the baby, I don't know. But like obesity, does obesity affect pregnancy? Let me search it up. Having a high BMI during pregnancy increases the risk of various pregnancy complications, including miscarriage, stillbirth, and recurrent miscarriage. I can't read that. Gestational diabetes. All right, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Observe the people around it, constantly
the baby in the womb of a fat person be living in a mansion. No, you really are chilling though. Like if you have an obese Mom birthed you, you were really chilling.
Down at their phones, which they might come to think of as an instinctual human function for all we know. Upon reaching 6 months old, babies already have an understanding of the basics of a touchscreen, with a third of babies under the age of 1 displaying the ability to swipe. If you've been around a baby recently, you know that they are completely infatuated with smartphones.
No. It's like actually scary though. It's actually scary.
They tend to have far more interest in...
I legit saw a video of like some kid. There was some kid that was so used to his tablet, he was just like tapping. Like he was swiping on a like... Because kids don't understand shit. He was swiping on a fucking table. Like, just doing the swiping motion. Is that not dystopian? I didn't grow up like that, bro. Like, I wonder how those kids are about to grow up.
Screens
My younger
than
cousin
any other
is.
toy. And this makes perfect sense considering the fact that the luminescent, interactive world of a phone screen is simply unlike anything else. The lights, sounds, and rapid movements are unbelievably stimulating to a baby's brain. By the age of 5 or 6, most kids already have their own iPads, which renders the rest of their toys completely useless. This is where they first encounter the...
Yeah, the toy industry is kind of dead. Like, yo, can we give a quick prayer for the toy industry, bro? Oh my god, I remember growing up, bro. Every time I was forced to go to the store with my mom, me and my brother would go straight to the toy section, straight there, try to look for the best shit, and we would never get it, bro. My mom would always say no. But RIP toys, like, I guarantee in the next 10 years, every single toy section in every store is gonna be gone. Kids aren't buying toys. Kids aren't buying toys. Only grown men are buying toys. Literally, bro. Grown men buying fucking like their favorite figures, anime figures and shit. And most of the time, bro, it's because like that's how we grew up with toys. We grew up with actual physical toys that you could play with.
Confusing and detached world of the internet.
I heard that.
Spend around 6 hours a day scrolling through mindless short-form content or watching other people play with toys. And if their parents didn't take the time to enable a child lock, it's likely they'll come across something that even adults find scarring.
Ah!
And you obviously can't expect...
What is that? I don't ever want to see this video ever in my entire life. If anybody ever sends me this, you're getting banned from my Discord, my YouTube, my Twitter, my Instagram. You're getting banned from my life. What is that? There's like, that's a grown-ass man that made that. He looks a solid like 30 years old at least. Solid 30 years old, nigga. Is this the path you're taking for money?
The kid to be able to moderate themselves, which is why it's the parents' responsibility. But this can be much harder than it sounds. You see, having a smartphone has become standard for children as young as 7. Because of this, the entire culture of this generation is dictated by the internet. Everything they talk about or do for fun is sourced from the internet. So the one kid whose parents wouldn't buy them a phone is bound to be an outcast from the 2nd grade. Their ability to converse...
That's my thing too, like even in the future, I don't want my kid to be like an iPad kid. But at the same time, I would feel so bad because they'd just be left out. Like all the kids would know the internet trends, this and that. I'll probably add some like type of time limit or something like that. But like for y'all, are y'all ever gonna buy your kid like a tablet or something? I feel like it's probably cool. You have to monitor what they're looking at basically at all times. Motherfuckers should only get smartphones at age 15. I mean, that would be like the most realistic solution or something, but can't do that. Yes, with moderation. Not YouTube shorts when they're older, yeah. Before they don't need it.
And play is limited since they don't have access to the digital world that all the other kids are living in. And we know what excessive internet use does to adults, so we can only assume the impact would be much harsher on young children. But we also know how terrible social isolation can be, especially at a young age. So this leaves parents with a hard choice. Either they expose their 7-year-old to the brain rot of the internet, or they shield them from it and inhibit their ability to develop socially. Okay, fast forward to
that's literally so true. Like you're either way. It's either your kid gets into the internet with everybody and gets fucked over, or the opposite. Your kid has no social skills because everybody's on the internet and he or she's out there alone, and they're not tapped in with things going on.
The current day, where the oldest of Gen A is about 13 years old. While many kids at this point will have had some level...
Yeah, Twisted, I hope you know that's you.
...of Gen A is about 13 years old. While many kids at this point will have had some level of developmental impairment, the real damage has yet to be done. Around this age is the time when many kids start to develop worldviews, opinions, and identities. They begin to comprehend some of the underlying...
At 13? Nah, that's cap. Bro, at 13, all I knew was... I was playing Roblox. Was I playing Fortnite? I don't know. No, I was in high school at that point. Like, I didn't have any political views. I didn't know what the was going on. I was watching YouTubers, that's it. I mean, I guess I was learning some things.
Society and human nature, and naturally their curiosity directs them towards the internet. And while the internet can be good for this, it has a far greater potential to ruin it. The internet is filled with useful information and resources, but it's completely smothered by masses of sensationalist garbage that's designed to hijack your emotions and get your click. And we adults fall for this all the time, so why wouldn't young children? The algorithm isn't going to serve them something educational or appropriate for their age. It's going to serve them a fresh batch of mind-numbing...
Gee, bro, what is this video? Grown man.
waste. It's going to serve them the same content that everyone else clicked on. And due to the nature of the internet, this is almost always something that's crafted to be as shocking and stimulating as possible. Or in other words, something that doesn't align with reality. And this works a lot like a drug. It's fast-paced, interesting, and gives you full control. As long as you keep swiping, it keeps delivering. It offers everything that reality lacks and more. And since Gen A has been exposed to this world from such a young age, its effects will have a much longer time to incubate, with most of that time being during some of the most important years of mental development.
Nah, you know what doesn't help for kids? Like, yo, if this little baby, like, he posted a video on IG Reels, it'd be over for him. He'd be done for at the age of like 5 years old. I thank God that I'm like not super young and was posting the dumb shit I did on YouTube in the era of IG Reel comments. Because I don't think I could live with myself after that. After getting roasted by like thousands of grown ass people talking about get a job, little nigga, get the fuck out of here. Nobody cares. Get your money up. You should have been aborted. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
As a result, Gen A will likely see
I was never prepared to get called old by a young ass motherfucker. Nah, y'all really be sitting in chat talking about, oh my God, Tommy, you're old. Nigga, I'm 20 years old, bro. That's how I know, like, the internet is so fucking young and the niggas on the internet are young. You're absolutely fucking young.
Much bigger spike in mental illness than Gen Z, and at a much younger age. Everything from depression to anxiety will be more rampant than ever. The less common disorder among Gen Z.
Damn, you are in the grave already. Holy. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's how I know you're fucking 10 years old, you Gen Alpha bitch. Oh my God. Imagine, like, being born in Gen... You know what? Let me stop. I'm holding myself back. That comment just pissed me off.
Known as internet psychosis will likely become more widespread among Gen A. And everything only gets worse from here. You see, one of the coping mechanisms we have for the illness and emptiness caused by our modern habits is to double down and dive even deeper. And through this, many people actually find an outlet. Enter the toxic wastelands of Twitter and Reddit. Some of the people who need help the most come to these sites in search of an...
Yeah, I wasn't using Twitter up until like 3 years ago. I'm kind of happy I wasn't using Twitter because, yeah, my tweets would have been, I would have been canceled and out of here.
Identity and fulfillment. In doing so, they come across a vast array of different political and cultural rabbit holes. Eventually, they find one appealing enough and allow it to completely take control of
rabbit holes, bro. I can imagine like the type of rabbit holes these kids is going down. It's not healthy.
Identity and personality. And this is what has caused political and cultural discourse to become so diluted and polarizing. When a person's entire identity is completely reliant on certain ideas or beliefs, a simple questioning of those beliefs is an attack on them as a human being. And this problem will only be worse with Gen A down the line. Gen A doesn't know what the more tame political climate of the past looks like. They weren't around for the time when most people didn't really care or think about politics at all. By 2016, the oldest of Gen A was 6, and they got to witness the unprecedented 2016 election. Everything that has happened since 2016 is the only experience or knowledge they have about politics, which will heavily shape how they view it as they mature. And this will have massive implications down the line. Gen A will likely turn out to be even more radical and zealous than Gen Z, and the internet will be their main outlet of expressing it. And those who manage to avoid this trap won't have it much easier, as society becomes more divided.
Bro, no, the fact that there's really like radical... Bro, there is like really... Y'all gotta really understand it, bro. Really think of it. Because that radical shit is true. There's really people like born in Gen Z that are straight up like in the fucking clan, bro. You gotta think of this shit. And that's just because it's like the rabbit hole they went through with the internet, most likely. And I guess some of their families. It could be some of their family. Like crazy shit you would have think, bro, it would have been eliminated like years ago, but it's still going on.
It becomes harder for those floating in between to find meaning and a sense of community. Because of this, Gen A will also be more nihilistic than Gen Z. And while this is terrible for us, not everyone loses here. Modern corporations stand to profit massively from this. If you take a generation suffering from mental illness, meaninglessness, and the inability to critically think, and you pair it with the fact that it's the largest generation in human history, you get something that...
Wait, Gen Z is the largest generation? Really?
Critically think, and you pair it with the fact that it's the largest generation...
More than 2.5 million are born globally every week. When they've all been born, they will number almost 2 billion. Wait. Hold up, did I read that right? And often the younger siblings of Generation Z. More than 2.5 million are born globally every week. When they have all been born 2025, they will number almost 2 billion, the largest generation in the history of the world. Gen Alpha are those defined... Really? I thought it would have been the opposite. I thought Gen Z was like the biggest generation, they said, and then like it started to slow down. Like birth started to decline at a certain point. Oh yeah, no, it's over, bro. Let's keep going.
In human history,
Appreciate you,
you
Gunnar.
get something that corporate America could only dream of. Corporations have already taken note of this with Gen Z, using the masses of data they produce through their excessive social media use in order to make advertising more predatory and mind-reading. And this has worked fantastically for them. But in many ways, Gen Z is simply just a warm-up for Gen A. Since Gen A will spend even more time scrolling, they will produce even more data for corporations, which will then be used to make advertising even more effective. So as Gen A matures and enters the workforce, consumer spending and corporate profits will soar even higher. The mental instability paired with large swaths of data at corporations' disposal will make business easier than ever. As a result, the inflation-induced poverty we see today will only continue to get worse. Consumerism and
Bro, I'm telling you, and that's just facts. I don't know what this says, blah blah. I'm telling you, I guarantee you right now, the McChicken inflation has already gone out of hand. A McChicken will cost $8 in the next 10 years. I guarantee it.
The inflation-induced poverty we see today will only continue to get worse. Consumerism and materialism will be more prevalent than ever, but not in the traditional sense. You see, in the past, these things were exhibited through
Not the
clothes,
McChicken?
cars, houses, and jewelry. But that was back in the 2010s when people valued reality over the digital world. We're talking about 2035, when Gen A is in their 20s. While video game cosmetics and virtual reality existed before, they'll be the standard now. People will now pay for virtual clothes, virtual mansions, and virtual supercars as if they were real. And the
Nah, I refuse. There is no way, bro. If Gen Alpha makes it a normal thing, my nigga, to buy a mansion on the metaverse for like $1 million, I will fully at that point lose all hope in that generation. Like, I don't even think they would be dumb enough to do that. Like, the metaverse fell the off. I don't even know where I don't remember the last time I heard about the metaverse. I don't even know what's going on with it.
You'll experience it all through a VR headset, and
I would
corporations
personally bully if they bought that shit.
will be happy to deliver, considering the fact that it's not real and costs nothing to produce. People will spend half their day working just to make enough money to sustain their physical bodies and virtual life.
My
And as
God.
time goes on, the corporations behind this continue to gain more leverage over the people as they become more dependent on their product. The only thing that will remain
Dystopian.
unchanged is Western corporations' exploitation
Okay, well, this
of
is
third world
factory has been a thing since like forever.
labor to
This
produce
is not
everything.
really a surprise.
And it's around this point that a hyper-reality will officially come into existence, alongside the beginning of the end of our
I mean, this
species.
kind of look cool though. Like this game looks cool, but I don't know.
Now, this is a problem that will take another
Okay, what is going on here? What is going on here? Oh my god. Nigga, if you don't just write this shit on your phone, what you want to buy, why are you wearing a VR headset to shop for food? I would never ever do this. You would never need to do this. I need to see with my eyes. I don't know if it's just because I wear glasses and I need like my eyes are up. I don't have 20/20 vision. I'm not wearing this while shopping for food. I want to see the food. I want to touch it. I want to feel it. You're going in a locker? Yeah, absolutely not. I wish they would.
decade to develop, but will require some serious intervention to prevent. And so far, no one is taking it all that seriously, with experts referring to the situation as an unintentional global experiment. We've seen how a lot of this plays out with Gen Z, and it's been nothing short of tragic. Gen Z has declined in almost every measure that matters, and the internet has made
God damn, guys. Look at
nothing
us.
short
We're
of
winners in
tragic.
everything.
Gen Z has declined in
Let's go.
almost
We're
every measure.
winning. These are good, right? Our numbers are up. Mass shooting numbers up. Rising suicide rates up. Climate and global warming up. Separation and deportation of immigrant and migrant families up. Widespread sexual harassment and assault reports up. Nah, we really winners for real. Like, yo, we handle this shit. You gotta understand, is this generation we handle this shit.
measure that matters, and the internet has made us painfully aware of it. To think that
I'm
this
joking,
cycle is going to
relax.
repeat
God
itself
damn.
with another generation, and that no one is really standing up to it, shows you just how much everyone cares. The reality is that even though younger people are suffering from these problems the most, it's affecting people of all ages. And the entire situation is a catch-22. Our way of dealing with these problems is the same behavior that causes them in the first place. The only real way to end this vicious cycle would be to completely desert many of these modern technologies. But this
And
option
that is absolutely not happening. It is way too late for that. Like, I highly doubt everybody in society would be like, hey, let's throw away our phones. Let's go back to the forest. We're simply not doing that.
advancement wouldn't be without problems either, as a large part of our economy is reliant on this technology. Many of the largest companies in the world are the producers of this technology, and they employ millions of us. So if they go under, so do we. The next 10 years could prove to be some of the most confusing and problematic years in human history. And while we can make a rough guess as to how things will play out, there's really no limit to what
Bro, it's really wild that like Wall-E isn't even that long ago. Wall-E isn't even that long ago. And we're basically there. Well, anyways, good video. And in conclusion, if there's any future Gen Alpha kids watching this, you.